All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions. It is officially March. Always hate the month of February in the NFL. It is so dead. We got the draft combine going down. We have free agency beginning in 2 weeks. And less than 2 months away, we have the NFL draft. And the Detroit Lions are coming off a phenomenal season, right? 12-5. You won 2 playoff games. You won the division. You were very close to making the Super Bowl. Absolutely brutal loss, but neither here nor there. The Detroit Lions will be back. All right. This team has so much talent. They just had by far, by the way, and this was voted all across the board, the Detroit Lions 2023 draft class was pretty much an A+. And Brad Holmes right now licking his chops. They got a first-round draft pick. They got over $50 million in cap space. Change is coming. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. You've got upcoming contract extensions, most notably Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I do think the Detroit Lions will make at least a couple of, bigger time moves in free agency. Now, I don't think they're going to be going out there and making, crazy trades for Bosa or Khalil Mack, but I do think they'll make a couple of upgrades. And I've got a bunch of wide receivers that I want Detroit to look into in today's video. Now, offense is not an issue, right? That's the Detroit Lions' weakness is not offensive. Now, with that being said, Amon-Ra St. Brown just had a phenomenal season. Almost 120 catches, over 1,500 yards. Sam Laporta, the rookie, is already one of the best tight ends in the league. Josh Reynolds, set to be a free agent. I've got Khalif Raymond. I've got Jameson Williams. But we're going to be talking a little bit about this Detroit Lions offense in tonight's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL videos. Lions fans, love you guys as always. Geez, dude, I still need to buy that damn Sam Laporta jersey. I will get on that ASAP. If we could try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. So Brad Holmes already came out here and said, like, look, man, we got to be smart with this. Yeah, we've got a couple of money. We got a couple of millions in the back pocket here. But once again, you got Aleem McNeil, you got Peni, you got a bunch of contract extensions. And when you go out there and you trade for players, or even in the draft, you're bringing in new faces. And that's kind of what Brad Holmes was saying in his presser was like, we kind of like what we have. We'll make more methodical moves. So I've got 5 methodical moves that the Detroit Lions can make. So they have their first pick or first round pick, right? It's 29th overall. Now, I love Brian Thomas Jr. I do not think there's any way, shape, or form he is still available at pick number 29. But I will just say this. Even if Detroit doesn't draft him at 29, Detroit's got, the extra 3rd round pick from the TJ Hawkinson trade. They've got some draft value. And I would not be surprised if they were to decide to trade up in the 1st round or even at any point in the draft. Now, with that being said, Brian Thomas Jr. would elevate this offense so much. The dude is just a future star in this league. 68 catches, about 1,200 receiving yards, 17 freaking touchdowns. Guys, he averaged over 17 yards per catch in his final season at LSU. And, once again, I know that the Lions offense is not an issue in any way, shape, or form. They've got some, free agents at the guard position, yada, yada, yada. But my point is, I want Josh Reynolds back, and I do actually think Josh Reynolds probably will be back. But even if he is, I think we saw at the trade deadline with the move for DPJ, can't body, depth move, whatever you want to call it. The dude had 5 catches. Right. And it sucks because he's a Detroit native. We're all rooting for him. He's got talent. He just kind of rode the bench. Jameson Williams is a really intriguing player. 24 catches, 354 yards. He averaged 15 yards per reception. He had a 42-yard rush in the conference championship game. He also caught 6 catches for 79 yards in the couple of postseason games. Jameson Williams aside, Sam Laporta aside, Amon-Ra St. Brown aside, I still just want some type of savvy piece in my wide receiver room. So I want to talk about Tyler Boyd real quick. Tyler Boyd, to my surprise, is still under the age of 30. He's only 29 years old. He is so slept on in Cincinnati, where he has spent his entire career. The dude has averaged over 600 yards per season all the way since 2017. This past season, 67 catches, 667 yards, 58 catches, 762, 828, 841, 2,000-yard seasons back in 2018, 2019. but he's a savvy veteran piece. He's a very reliable piece, but he's just kind of so under the radar in general because you got T. Higgins, you got Jamar Chase, you got Joe Burrow. Like, you know, Bengals fans certainly don't want to lose Tyler Boyd, but he's a free agent. I do think he would really benefit the Detroit Lions. Now, as far as, you know, the actual logistics of this going down, I don't think are as like all that likely. But I do think if I were to wake up, you know, in 2 weeks to see the Lions sign Tyler Boyd, I would lose my mind. But real quick, my point with these moves, or any Detroit Lions big quote unquote moves, air quote I'm using right now, I think would be under the category of like a CJ Gardner-Johnson, who, by the way, I really want the Lions to re-sign. He was injured pretty much the entire season. You'll be able to get him back on a much cheaper deal. But a move like that, you know, not a crazy needle-moving move. So we have DJ Chark. Now, DJ Chark was with the Detroit Lions 2 seasons ago, and I do remember when they officially lost him, and he signed with the Carolina Panthers, which, by the way, he had 35 catches for 525 yards, 15 yards per catch. The dude has averaged in his career 15 yards per reception. You know, we remember him in Detroit, 30 catches, 502 yards, 17 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns, but they lost him. Now, I will say one issue with DJ Chark is staying on the field. All right. So we'll move on to Kendrick Bourne, who got injured, you know, later on in the season for the New England Patriots. 37 catches, 406 yards. But this is just, you know, once again, kind of similar to Tyler Boyd, where it's just a very under the radar, solid veteran type, you know, still 28, 29 years old. But he's just a reliable wide receiver. And New England, you know, with the 3rd pick, they're probably going to be drafting to Jaden Daniels. There's going to be a lot of moving, you know, Bill Belichick being fired. There's going to be a lot of roster change over on in New England. So I think Kendrick Bourne would very much help this Detroit Lions receiving room. And then finally, we have Hollywood, Marquise Brown. This one is pretty interesting. The dude's a target monster. This past season with Arizona, 51 catches, 574 yards. He had 91 catches for over 1,000 yards 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now, in Baltimore. A big play. He's going to stretch the floor. He's going to stretch the field. But, you know, him and honestly kind of DJ Chark as well. That's why Jameson Williams exists. And especially if they were to actually draft Brian Thomas Jr., that's why those guys are out there on the field, stretch that field. So that's kind of actually my ranking for those players: Brian Thomas Jr., Tyler Boyd, DJ Chark, Kendrick Bourne, and Marquise Brown. So I'm curious to hear from my Lions fans. What are you guys' thoughts on those 5 wide receivers that the Lions could potentially look in? But more importantly, I want to hear your thoughts on the Lions wide receiver room, because once again, we all know it's not an issue for Detroit, but I do think they could use just a touch, just a sprinkle of touch in there with, you know, a 27, 28, 29-year-old wide receiver, a guy who's been in the league for over 4 years. That's it. That's the video. So hit that like button, hit that sub button. We got a ton of Lions content coming on the way all off season. Thank you guys so much for all the support, all the love the last couple of seasons. And yeah, let me know down below. Have a great weekend.